It's just 6:59, so we'll start right at 7. Thanks, Lindsay. Okay, it's 7 o'clock, Tuesday, September 3rd, 2024. I'll open the regular council meeting. We'd like to take this opportunity to acknowledge the traditional territories of the Indigenous peoples of the Treaty 7 territory and the Otipemisiwak Métis Government District 4. Respect the histories, languages, and cultures of First Nation, Métis, Inuit, and all First Peoples of Canada whose presence continue to enrich our community. Item 2.1, are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, if there's no changes, can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
I'll make the motion that the September 3rd agenda be accepted as prepared.
All in favor? Motion carried. Item 3.1. Are there any changes to the minutes of the regular council meeting of July 16th, 2024? Okay, if there's no changes, can I get a motion?
Through the chair. Move that the minutes of the July 16th, 2024 regular council meeting be accepted as presented.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. And we have a delegation tonight, RCMP quarterly update. We have Inspector Lauren Ware. And Chris, I'm sorry, what's your last name
No,
again?
that's fine. Staff Sergeant Chris Zanadine.
Thank you. And you can start anytime.
Thank you. Thank you very much. For those of you who might not remember me, I'm Lauren Weir. I'm the officer in charge of the Airstream Bicycle Detachment. Chris joined our team, I want to say just about a year ago in
A
September.
year tomorrow.
A year tomorrow. So he took over the operations NCO position, which is number 2. So ultimately he oversees all of the operational matters in both the municipal and the rural areas. As you know, Greg has moved on to Canmore and is settling into his role. Sometimes he has big eyes, but he is doing well. And his position, I have 2 local applicants, and I am going through their CVs, and I will be in a position to select the next Greg or the new Greg, hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And I can say this, that because they are internal applicants, they are officers that I know very well, and either one of them could land here quite comfortably, and I am confident that you will be happy with the selection that we make moving forward. So without sort of further ado, I know that Greg kind of goes over the key report. This is going to be from April to June. And I think it has been shared, and I'm not sure if anybody has any questions, but overall, there has been an increase in April and June, some persons offenses and other criminal code. Otherwise, for the most part, things have remained fairly steady in Crossfield with respect to crime stats. I can tell you that the crime severity index in 2023 for the provincial areas of Bicycler and Airdrie Provincial have increased. There has been an uptick. And this is often the influence, when we are in the Calgary urban area, there's often a great deal of influence from what I call basically cross-jurisdictional criminals who love to shop, if you will, or commit crimes in and around Calgary. They enjoy crossing various jurisdictional boundaries. And in the past, we weren't always great at having tremendous sort of collaboration and communication between different jurisdictions. And we have, I think, we're probably at one of our best places that I've seen, certainly in the 4 years that I have been in the position that I am in. I can say this, you know, I want to say I started in I'm here 2020, August of 2020, so it's about now 4 years ago, and pushed really hard and thank you know, Crossville for allowing us to do the pilot for an integrated model that brought the Bicycler detachment resources and area with the Airdrie provincial area region that allowed us to bring a 24/7 policing model that allows us to have, you know, 21 resources across the provincial region that we didn't enjoy before. So that has continues to go very well, and we are very happy for the support to continue with that integrated model. I don't certainly in my time I don't see any value in trying to back up from that model. So again, with respect to the quarter, April 1st to June 30th, there was a total of 197 calls for service in Crossfield, and that ranges from everything from tickets. So for all traffic tickets and traffic violations, files are generated. And as I said, there was an uptick in our assaults from the same quarter this time last year, from 5 to 11. So an increase of 6. The percentages, you know, when you look at the percentages, that look like that's pretty shocking, but it's 6 files. And as I can say, the bulk of those investigations have been investigated with charges or some sort of understanding from the parties that they either didn't want to continue with pursuing. We have had some property crime increases as well. As you know, there was a robbery at the pharmacy. That file is a fairly complex file, and the investigation is still ongoing with that, with a number of without giving, search warrants. There's a lot of different search warrants and things that are ongoing. So that is still comfortably being investigated. Again, the general opinion at this point is, again, this is not somebody local. This is sort of a traveling criminal, if you will. So the work is ongoing with that. I don't know if there's anything specific that you would like me to focus in on or not. And if, Chris, I don't know if you have anything that you would like to add with respect to our vacancy pattern right now, with the exception of Greg's position. We have, you know, we always ebb and flow. So we have a couple of fellows that are on pat leave. And so what Chris does is he works very hard, and we backfill them amongst, you know, we will bring out, because we have the large municipal resources, we are able to bring folks over and into either temporary assignments over onto the provincial side to manage those. We have 2 vacant positions, or what we call hard vacancies, on the constable side of the house. And we have members identified to come in. They just haven't landed yet. So we do hope that over the next couple of months, with the normal transfer cycle and everybody landing, selling homes, those sorts of things, that we will get back to our normal numbers. The Bicycler detachment, of course, remains open. And also Airdrie. So there are a couple of places folks can go. And unless there's, maybe I'll just open it up if there's any questions, Your Worship, or from anybody.
Great. Questions, Inspector Weir?
Visitor,
Councilor Deputy Mayor.
just one question about criminal harassment. It's up 300%. What is the definition of criminal harassment?
Do you want to?
Yeah, so it's essentially like unwanted communication, unwanted following, phone calls.
Charged? But they're charged that? Is that what's criminal harassment, or is it?
No, so they may, these files would be whether they, make the complaint and they are charged, or they choose not to want to follow through with charges, or there's not enough evidence to, oftentimes domestic kind of related charges, often domestic related assault criminal harassment are, two of the kind of the top ones. So a lot of files with youth are for criminal harassment, if it's, being bullied online, or, that's another fairly common one. It's kind of a catch-all. There used to be like harassing phone calls, besetting a dwelling house, like, like someone's, house and kind of stalking them. Like, it's all kind of been grouped into criminal harassment now.
Okay, yeah, I get harassed. I was just curious of the criminal bit, and that's all.
Yeah, so if somebody is harassed or bothered at such a level where it affects them, so they have to maybe change their behavior. So maybe they don't go for walks anymore because somebody is following them or they feel somebody's bothering them. And as Chris was saying, with with iPhones and everything now, we're seeing an explosion of criminal harassment. So that online piece that Chris talked about. Also, you will see sexual assaults and sexual other. So that's that sextortion thing. So those are very, very prolific across the country. And it's not just, between, little Johnny over on First Street and Susie over on Third. These are international as well. So they are, we do encourage them to be reported. And I know that Councilor McGuinty certainly Constable Lee Floor as well did a lot of presentations in the schools with respect to just making sure kids understood, where that line is, where that criminal harassment piece, where you get that toe over the line for the elements of the offense too. So.
Yep. Awesome.
Great. Any other questions? No. Well, thanks for your report and presentation. We appreciate that.
Very much. I just wanted to wonder, so there is the Alberta municipalities, and if you yourself or the delegation wanted to meet with the commanding officer, I did mention it, send it a little. Then I can just put your name on the list if there's any concerns or issues.
Yeah, I think we're just checking in with CEO Barney to see what
Yes.
other ministers and
Yes,
whatnot that we're meeting with, to see what our time looks like. And if we're free, we'll definitely
Yeah,
meet.
for sure. And we do have a new, just so you're aware, we do have a new commanding officer. So
Great.
sometimes you might want to lay eyeballs on them.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, thank you very much, and I do appreciate your time.
All right. Well, feel free to have a tour of the town while you're here. All right. Who'd like to make a motion?
Through the chair, I'll make the motion that the RCMP quarterly update be accepted as presented.
Okay, great. And
All in favor?
all in favor. Thank you. Item 5.1, Crossfield Community Fest temporary road closure request. I'm assuming, Russ, that might be you.
I will take this one. Thank you, Mayor Harris. Good evening, council. As you're aware, coming up on Tuesday, September 10th, we have our annual Community Fest event coming where we take over Railway Street between Hammond Avenue and Smith Avenue. And the request is to close Railway Street between those two avenues from 3 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. in order to accommodate this community event.
Okay, questions for Russ?
Through the chair.
Go ahead.
I just had a little one. I'm just curious. Do we already know how many groups will be attending? Like, will be set to.
Yes, through the chair. I can't tell you the number off the top of my head. I know Eris had mentioned it to me, but I want to say it's up around 25 to 30 groups,
Right on.
something like that. Yeah,
Okay.
I don't have the exact number on
Oh,
my
no
on
worries.
me right now.
Just curiosity.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. Any discussion on the road closure? All right, who would like to make a motion?
To the chair,
Go ahead, Deputy Mayor.
I'll motion the council approve the railway street closure from Hammond Ave to Smith Ave on Tuesday, September 10th, from 3 p.m. to 7:45 p.m. for Crossfield Community Fest.
All in favor? Motion carried. Thank you. Okay, we're at mayor and council's business already, so. It's actually a fairly busy summer. I had my weekly CAO meetings and some check signings. I had 4 mayor's caucus meetings over the summer. I went to the DQ grand opening the other day and that was pretty exciting. The Dairy Queen owners are excited to be here and excited to open, and so were our townspeople. I went to the Elks Demo Derby. Amazing show. There was like thousands of people there, as I saw. Traffic backed up all the way down to the highway, and it was a great show, good event. Met with Rockview School Division, just over some agreements and whatnot. Also met with the RCMP here a couple weeks ago. I had 2 meetings with residents and interviews with the local media. Deputy Mayor.
Thanks, Mayor. Report that I did help actually participate in the Crossroad Elks Demolition Derby, so that was a fun time for a week of work, but as well participated in the Mountain View Water Commission Regional Golf Tournament for the year, so that's by the people from towns, Mayor Commission as well. It was a good time.
It was fun. Excellent. Council Brennan.
On August 24th, I had a Marigold Library Board meeting. It was fairly standard. We went over policy and governance again. There was a few staff changes. On top of that, went back over the financials and everything's looking good as usual. They run a pretty tight ship there, I gotta say. And then, well, I have the background notes here I can send off if anyone's interested. But beyond that, it was mostly internal stuff and nothing really affecting us immediately. So
Great.
that's all.
Thanks, Council Brennan. Councillor Fox.
I have nothing further to report.
Councillor Gustafson.
Like Deputy Mayor Knight, I did attend the Crossfield Elks Demolition Derby and volunteered there as well. And that's it. Nothing else to report.
Thank you. Councillor Lambert.
Nothing to report.
Councillor Bang.
I have nothing to report.
All right. Can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
I move that the mayor and council reports be accepted as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
All right.
Motion carried. Yeah, item 7.1, 2025 budget survey results. Director Lindsay Nash.
Good evening, Council. As you're aware, the 2025 budget survey was put out on May 24th, and it remained open for until June 18th. The survey was originally shared by direct mail to ensure that we included every business owner and resident. And then the survey was then also shared on social media, including the town's website on June 11th. While launched as a budget survey, the questions also focused on service satisfaction levels, as this is a component that impacts the quality of life for residents and business owners, and any proposed adjustments to levels of service have correlating impacts on both residents' quality of life as well as the budget. A total of 167 responses, equating to approximately 4% of the town's population, engaged in the budget survey. This is down from last year's response of 289. The majority of respondents to both 2024 and 2025 budget surveys were over the age of 35. Of the 167 respondents, 65 have lived or owned a business in Crossfield for more than 6 years, while 12% noted living or owning a business in Crossfield for less than 2. Understanding citizen and business owner communication preferences helps us align our communication strategies to meet the communication needs. This relates to both budget and non-emergent communication items. Under communication preference, the communication channel options that rated the highest included social media at 65%, the monthly newsletter that is shared digitally and provided in paper format at 63%, with the town's website at 58%. Under the service satisfaction levels, the levels of service satisfactions for each of the primary services provided by the town was an area in which respondents were also engaged in. While the degree of satisfaction with the level of service within each of the services varied, Overall, respondents noted that 64 of the respondents were very satisfied or satisfied with the level of services, where 18% were neutral and 17% were dissatisfied or very dissatisfied with the level of services. Under public priorities, the development of a municipal budget takes multiple factors into consideration, each of which help inform the resulting budget. Those factors include components such as current financial statements or standing, including reserves and debt levels, economic forecasts, including inflation impacts, development projects, etc., demographic trends, including population growth, legal and regulatory requirements such as tangible capital asset and asset retirement obligation, and capital improvement requirements and public priorities. While each of those form part of the final budget, for the purpose of today, we will focus on public priorities. Contents on the remaining components will form part of the budget deliberations which will commence in the fall. When provided an opportunity to express their wishes as it relates to adjustment to taxes, survey respondents indicated the following: that 18% expressed that they would support an increase in town services, even if taxes and fees were increased, where 53% expressed a desire to maintain taxes, even if some services must be reduced, and 29% do not support an increase in taxes, even if town services must decrease. All respondents were also given an opportunity to include additional comments. 139 comments were received with 28 distinct areas identified. The top 5 include 18 mentions of policing and enforcement, which includes crime reduction, animal control, traffic control, general policing, and bylaw enforcement. 15 mentions of recreational amenities, including ball diamond repairs, rec amenity, and access to school gyms, a skate park. 10 mentions of parks and pathways, including more parks, pathways, and park maintenance, and 8 mentions of road, alleyway, and ice and snow maintenance. The implementation of the survey supports council's strategic priority of communication and public relations, primarily as it relates to enhancing public engagement and public participation in the town. The full report and graphs are included in the full report, and administration is asking council to accept the 2025 budget survey results for information.
Awesome, thank you. Questions for Director Nash?
Through the chair.
Go ahead, Councilor Brennan.
It seems like this one was pretty short. If we wanted to get more engagement on this sort of thing, was there a chance, could we have lumped it into something like the census or run it similar, or is that just not feasible for? I don't know if it's super important. It's just 167 is definitely not ideal.
Through the chair, there's, I believe, public perception that we just put out surveys and gather information, not do anything with it. With between the municipal census, we got the budget, and then we also have the MDP survey out right now. So I think it's kind of, the census did touch on some of this information as well.
For sure.
It's kind of, I don't know if
Plus
it,
minus.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough.
It's,
I think overall engagement is hard.
yeah.
Right.
With citizens, and it comes down to like being able to, I think, ask the right questions and kind of get in that sweet spot when it comes to some of these things. I think typically what I've seen in, other municipalities is majority of people will vote very close to what Crossfield voted because people don't want taxes raised. They still want
sure.
similar, the same
Yeah.
services for that
Everything's fine. Just don't
amount of
mess with
money,
it.
right? So
Yeah. Okay.
that's tough.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Questions? Any other questions or discussion? No? All right. Can I get a motion?
Sure.
Deputy Mayor.
I motion that council accept the 2025 budget survey results for information.
All in favor?
Right.
Motion carried. Okay, item 7.2, 2024 municipal census results. Hi, Lauren.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. As you can see, our 2024 municipal census has come to an end. I personally would consider it to be a great success. We finished with 100% completion. We finished ahead of schedule and below budget. So
Good job.
to me, that constitutes a big win. Some fun facts about it. We have 4,211 residents. The rate of growth since 2019 is 24.7%, which is obviously a huge rate of growth.
Yeah.
We're beating even Airdrie at that point, which is really saying something. The large majority of residents in the town own their own homes. It was only, I think, 14% that were rentals. The median age of a town of Crossfield resident is 45 years old. And the largest portion of our population is made up by new residents. So residents who have lived here for under 5 years. Close behind that is residents who have lived here for more than 10 years, but the newbies are definitely kind of running the show at the town right now with our resident count. Besides that, I've kind of attached a more detailed result on the back, but if anybody has any questions, please let me know.
Lauren, do we plan to do the census on a yearly basis or every 2 years, or what does that look like?
So that's something that we've been discussing. I personally would like to see at least next year us do a census. Airdrie has been so wonderful during this, the support that they've provided. I had a lot of questions as a first timer and they were fabulous. And kind of the understanding that I've gotten from speaking to them is that if our rate of growth, so the amount of money that we receive from the government when we're applying for grants and whatnot, if our rate of growth is enough to essentially cover the cost of doing the census, yes, we should do it every year. So looking at our building permits, our new construction, things like that will help us determine next year. I mean, I see the rate of houses being built right now. I would anticipate next year that being the case. If growth slows down, then you revisit it. Then it truly, really is a year-to-year thing. But for next year, in my personal opinion, it would be a good idea. Yes.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay, can I get a motion?
Through the chair,
Councillor Lambert, go ahead.
I make the motion that the 2024 census report be accepted for information as presented.
Okay, all in favor?
No,
Excellent job, Lauren. Thanks for that. Item 7.3, Department Director updates. No. 7 point, yes.
Yep.
Director of Community and Protective Services, Russ Nash. You're up first
Thank you, Mayor Harris.
and second.
One second, yes. So yes, you have my report in front of you. I apologize for the length of this one, but wanted to make sure we provided some wholesome or fulsome updates for council over the summer months. I'll touch on a few items throughout the report. First one being the FCC Agri-Spirit grant we applied for an amount of $10,000. We were approved for that to assist the Crossfield Food Hamper program in purchasing a refrigerator, a freezer, some shelving, carts, and a stainless steel food prep table. So that will help them out a lot. We have applied for the New Horizons Seniors Grant again as well for next year. So we'll see how that goes. We've been successful the last 2 years in a row. We have partnered with the Crossfield Wellness Network for the 2nd annual Crossfield Community Wellness Day, which will be held at 11:30 a.m. on Sunday, September 8th in Crockett Park. For recreation events, as mentioned previously for the road closure report, we do have Crossfield Community Fest coming up on Tuesday, September 10th. We've also got a seniors trip named Tunes at Noon for our local seniors out to the Windmill Music Venue out in Dog Pound. That's on Thursday, September 12th. And of course, we have our annual pumpkin hunt coming up on Tuesday, October 22nd, which continues to be our most popular community event. So those are some big events that are coming up here that are being planned for. In parks and facilities, I'll touch on some of our capital project progress here. So park sign replacement program has been awarded, and they've started on the construction of the signs. A local company was awarded that contract. Originally, we were banking on being able to do about 3 signs per year, but pricing came in substantially lower than what we had expected. So this year, we're actually going to get 6 park signs done instead of 3, they will be placed in McCaskill Park, Murdoch Park, Banta Park, Walker Park, Weigel Park, and Crockett Park. Those locations were chosen on a priority basis based on their condition. And this will leave 2 parks to be completed in 2025, which would be Veterans and Amory. So that one's on the go here. Western Drive Dog Park, as council knows, we did put a bit of a hold on this one just so that we could figure out our future expansion plans of the lagoons. So now that we have that study done and we understand what potentially could happen down the road for the current location, administration has put some ideas together, and right now we are working on getting some quotes for purchasing some more temporary fencing where we can place a second location at the existing park to allow for a small dog location and a large dog location, as well as have green space around it. And then we're also gathering quotes to clean up, level, and seed grass in a new location, which is located east of the rodeo grounds on the east side of the pathway that runs there. There's a natural triangle there that's formed between the roadway, the pathway, and there's an old sewer line, I believe, that runs under there. So this will give us time to allow the new area to establish with grass, and we can try and dress it up, make it look nice. So that's our plans moving forward for the time being on that. And then once the grass establishes, we will move the temporary fencing over to the new location. For the short term here, we want to keep it temporary, as that location may also be decided upon by councils if we wanted to move forward with developing those into serviced industrial lot or something down the road. So we didn't want to go too permanent on that location until we can come up with a real solid location that could be permanently chosen as a dog park. So that's our plans moving forward at this point. The Amory Park outdoor rink. This one's been a bit of a thorn in our sides here. Pricing came back quite a bit higher than what we had originally were quoted and expected, in the $130,000 range. So, and it's also been discovered that there's more concerns and issues with that park or that facility than we originally had thought. So, unfortunately, we have put a hold on this until we can come back to council with some ideas. But essentially, we don't want to put a bunch of money into this facility if we're going to end up back in the same boat in 2 to 5 years, because it wasn't installed correctly. Realistically, it wasn't installed correctly, and it wasn't the right application for that particular outdoor rink. It's more the rink that's put out there right now is more intended to be like a residential type outdoor rink that would be put up and taken down every year.
And that wasn't the intention when you first wanted to build it.
Correct. And it was put in with that intention by the developer. And then at some point, and I apologize, I wasn't involved in all those decisions, but there was a decision made at some point to utilize that rink for what it has been turned into. So I mean, it does the job. Administration does, we can make it work until we can get a workable solution in place. And we will come back to council with another report on this one. So those are kind of the big hitters in that area. The other items are on the go or completed. At the arena, the ice plant, has been turned on and ice is being made, and actually our first ice times will start tomorrow night. So
Wow.
this is a couple weeks earlier than the past couple of years. Was done because of requests from local groups, and Randy actually has about 85% of the schedule full for September. So it's worth the costs of putting it in a bit early. So, and the plant was installed with the intention to be able to run it into the shoulder seasons when it's warmer. So the plant is able to handle it. We also have a new ramp being constructed for the arena that will allow individuals in wheelchairs or other mobility issues the opportunity to view activities taking place a little easier on the ice surface. So that will be completed prior to the start of the season. With the fire department, we're well underway, moving along with recruit training, moving members through the NFPA 1001 level 1 accreditation. As of August 28th, the department has responded to 245 calls for service, which is broke down as you can see there. Their AFRAX radio system upgrade is moving along. The equipment is at the dealer. They will be programming the radios. We just need to get our neighboring partners to grant us access to the required channels to be able to communicate. So as soon as that happens, the programming will be completed. And we're hoping to have those radios in place by the end of October here. And engine 155 replacement, as council's aware, we've had some difficulties finding a replacement that's in line with our initial concept of what we call, or what they call a quint, which is an engine and aerial combination. We've gone back and forth with a lot of ideas, scenarios, and it's looking like, and we will be coming back to council with an updated proposal on this as well. But we're likely going to be going with switching our idea up to go, what we're looking at is replacing the engine for another engine. So like to like, or like for like, and then shifting our fleet model or our fleet replacement model to be a little bit later down the road, that we will combine 2 units into one to try and right size our fleet. But for right now, it gets us with an engine that is still within, or will be within, NFPA standards, as well as an aerial that is available if needed for the next 5 to 10 years. It also, the proposal that will come forward to council will, it'll show that we're trying to get the equipment on into stages, I guess you could say, where we're replacing units, every 10 to 15 years instead of having them really tight together. We don't want to end up in that
You're following an asset
situation.
management plan.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So that will come forward to council as well. And a couple other, sorry, trying to move through. Couple other updates for you with the municipal enforcement. As we're all aware, CPO Stevens has left. We do have advertisements out. We have been doing interviews. We're trying to get somebody in place to fill that role. In the meantime, Francisca Eady, our summer bylaw officer, she continued on with her employment. She did a great job. And I do want to thank Constable Scott McWhinney, because he's helped her out. He helped her out a lot, and he helped us out a lot. So big thank you to him. The focus this year was on industrial area cleanup, and overwhelmingly it had positive results. She had really good conversations with business owners and landowners. The conversations and interactions were friendly, and for the most part, people complied with what she was requesting. She didn't have to give out a lot of notices to everybody. It was more so conversations. So that went quite well, actually. And then my last little update here was just myself, Mayor Harris, and CAO Barney also met with Rocky View Schools on July 23rd to go over the town's concerns with the school division's proposed ward boundary changes, our reciprocal use of facilities agreement, and the school site in Vista Crossing. So those are some updates from the Community and Protected Services world.
Just a couple, yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Questions for Director Nash?
To the chair.
Counselor Lambert?
With regards to the signs, Russ,
Mhm.
do we have that same guaranteed price for next year, or is there some way we can move some money around in the budget to get all 6 signs for this year, or get the extra 2 signs for this year?
Through the chair, the price, I don't believe is guaranteed for into next year. There likely would be some inflationary increases there. Off the top of my head, I don't know that we have room in other budgets that would be able to accommodate that. We can see as we move a little further into the year, and I'd have to have conversations with CAO Barney just to see how
Right.
all those logistics work.
But it's just, I was just thinking
Yeah.
that if we could find the money, if there are such a good price, as you said, that we could get them all done
Right.
at that good price.
Yeah. And that being said too, I don't expect that they would jump drastically,
Curiosity.
Yeah.
Okay.
but we can keep an eye on that and see where
Mhm.
our budgets go, and if
I
they're-
just thought maybe even if you put your order in for 2025, they give you the same price.
possibly,
Okay.
I would just be a little cautious there. I would want kind of a,
Mm. And do we,
well, an agreement, sorry,
Right.
with council to understand that we would move forward with those. I wouldn't want to sign our name to, yes, we're gonna buy these,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden things change and.
do we have a mock-up or anything that you could send us
Certainly,
what they look like?
yeah,
Okay,
absolutely.
Thanks.
Hey, Counselor Gustafson?
Through the chair. Russ, a couple of questions on the arena. One being the arena supervisor, Randy, he's a full-time employee. Is that correct?
Correct.
That's correct. So, and he works, he said, yes, well, do we have new user groups or something that he had to spend a bunch of time with, or is it?
Not new, no, through the chair. He just worked with our existing groups.
Okay,
Just to confirm the schedule and make sure that everybody's accommodated for what we're able to accommodate as far as time. So there may be, he might have said, I can't remember now, there might be one new like adult user group there later in the evening anyway.
Yeah.
But Airdrie, in his meetings with them, they're gonna take an extra half hour of ice in the early mornings on Saturdays, so it's increased slightly there.
and I know you probably won't be able to answer this question, but utilization of the facility, like on a year-to-year basis, how are we looking? I think you can come back on a later date with that, like it's, out of 365 days, how many days are we open for business? And how many, how much time do we expect it to be open during the day? Like how many hours, and do we keep track of that, On a town-owned facility, we'd like to see some good utilization out of it, and are we getting as much as we, are we using it as much as we possibly can? And I know that we're able to open it sooner, but is it something to look, can we make more money with ice in it versus not ice in it? And I'm thinking, year-round ice.
Correct. Through the chair. Yeah, I don't have the exact numbers here, but I can tell you that like our prime time ice is utilized just as much as previous years, or it will be, with the except we actually might be slightly higher just because of the Airdrie ice, as well as
Mhm.
the potential for new adult groups. I can also tell you that Randy is working hard to he came into the job with the idea and mentality to try and drive more rentals through some of the off seasons too, off seasons being like summer, springtime. And I also expect to see more lacrosse next year because Airdrie will be taking out 2 of their pads in Ron Ebbson. So lacrosse is going to be looking for some floor time. So I expect them, and Randy's actually already had conversations with that group. it sounds like their junior group actually wants to come up here and have Crossfield as their home. So I do expect to see increased utilization in 2025.
Yeah, and I guess that'll go across all the, you know, every town-owned property, like how we can maximize utilization. And because, you know, our residents are paying for this, so how can we maximize it and get the best return possible?
Correct.
Did you want to see like a 3-year comparison over arena utilization?
Yeah, I don't know if we can, you know, do we have the data to do that?
We probably have enough
It- that-
data that we can pull. It might not be like really in depth, but we can give you some information to help show you what's
Yeah,
there.
and I think actually it could run in conjunction, you know, it really needed to run in conjunction with the town-owned lands and utilization and where our return on investment is for every property. I think that really should have been where it started with, and I don't know if that was part of the program when we mandated that with the town-owned lands, you know, whether it was,
Yeah.
you know, empty lands or if it's, you know, lands with buildings on them that we are renting out, so.
We can try and gather as much information as
Okay.
we can on some of
Yeah.
that. Some of it won't, it'll be pretty sparse, but some of it I think we can pull together, for example, like ball diamonds,
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
I just think our residents would like to know, you know, are we getting good utilization out of these buildings? And if we're not, then do they need to go, or do they need to be turned into something else that is very functional for the residents?
And I always like to put a timeline on something like that. Do you have a timeline in mind?
I would say by the end of the year. Is that fair?
I think so. I think we could probably maybe give you that information for, I would say, our most utilized facilities, like the arena, the community
the
hall.
hall.
Yeah.
We could probably get some information on ball diamonds.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Some of the other ones could be tough to pull for right now, but
I know.
we could also, in understanding that and knowing that, we could try to incorporate some more tracking measures moving forward so that we can kind of start gathering that data.
Yeah, and I think it's important too, is where resources need to be put. If you know, town resources need to be put towards something that's getting utilized very well versus something that is, you know, do we pour money into something that doesn't do anything for us?
Yeah, and that's partially too where the recreation needs assessment comes in as well. So it's a combination of that
I agree
information and
with the assessment for
information.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
So-
real data, real life data. needs-
so let's see the first meeting in December.
Sure.
Lindsay? Done. Sounds good. Would you like to make a motion?
Certainly.
Okay.
I'll move that some data or utilization data be collected and reported on back to council by the first meeting in December of 2024.
On our recreational assets.
But yes,
Okay.
we'll shorten it to recreational assets.
Perfect. All in favor?
Uh,
Yep, motion carried. Thank you. Any other questions?
That's it. for now.
Okay. Anyone else?
To the chair.
Deputy Mayor.
In the great work on the job is normal, Russ. When you talk about the quotes that we get, like let's say for Amory Park and the flooring for the hall, what's the town's process to get RFQs out there, like for quotations? Do we have a process and are our residents aware of the processes? Do we get the maximized local knowledge and maybe even more quotes in?
So typically it kind of depends on the magnitude of the project and cost. Typically we try and gather minimum 3 quotes for smaller projects, like as you mentioned, for like the community hall dance floor. Those we'd be just searching quotes from local companies that are close to us in Airdrie, that sort of stuff. The larger projects, like what the outdoor rink will be, will actually go on to the the provincial Alberta Purchasing Connection website. And that gets out to a very broad range of contractors and consultants and service providers. And some of them were actually mandated to do that, depending on we have to meet a certain threshold of the value of the project. So, like I say, it kind of depends on the project. The other thing with the outdoor rink too, and being able to get out to more contractors for this, is we also kind of, depending on the project and depending how specialized it is, we can run into problems where we don't have contractors who really understand how to do some jobs, or they just don't have that expertise. So we can get out to more of those specialized contractors. That being said too, if we know that there's a local company that does that sort of work, we will engage with them as well.
Is it possible to make some information or knowledge aware of some of these things? And even if it is going on the post line, a note of saying, hey, you know what, to the residents, whether it's on the website or Facebook status, just to make sure that this, because we have a large number of people, if you look at those stats of Lauren's list right there, they live in lots of different towns. They work for lots of different companies. It might not be a local company, but it could be a local resident if they know that stuff.
Mhm.
So if we can post a few more of our RFQs out there online websites, just to be aware of, hey, you can go to the website here for the portal and stuff. It might just be some, and other residents say, oh, and that's another out of town company. If they put the paperwork in and they aren't qualified, that's totally understandable. But at least they feel like they might have had the opportunity to say, we can look at it. And I think it never hurts to have more quotes. That's all my two. I think residents that I hear for concerns, they never are aware of what we're looking for. So if we can make it a little more transparent, the RFQs that are going out, maybe it'll help some people, maybe we got a better product, maybe not. So that's just a comment. Thanks.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. And I guess I should also expand on that too. We do post all of our RFPs, whether they're on APC or not, on our website. So we'll just maybe take that as an opportunity to maybe try and promote them a little bit better and harder through our means.
And just to enhance a little bit about what Director Nash is saying, we are bound by the MGA and how a town goes out for RFPs and RFQs. I'm pretty sure, the first limit is anything 75,000 and under is 3 quotes, and it doesn't have to go to the provincial program. Anything over and above the 75,000 does.
Depends on the type of
Right.
project. 75,000 is the threshold for like consultants and then that sort of
Mhm.
stuff. I believe construction threshold is 275 or 200,000, and
Yeah, 200.
Director Altina may have some experience in that as well, but there are different thresholds depending
are.
on what type of project.
Yeah. And it's something that we have to follow pretty closely as a municipality.
Yeah, true.
Okay, any other questions?
Through the chair.
Councillor Guston.
Lindsay, do you know where on our website it is? Or I guess I can ask you, Russ, too, where all the RFQs are? Or what part of the website it is?
There is a location where we would post them.
Okay, I see career and volunteer, financial information.
Okay, while Lindsay's looking for that, I do have a couple of questions for you, Russ.
Mhm.
Under the Banta Park revitalization, is that $50,000 for just like design and engagement, or is it for design engagement and the build?
That would be for the design and engagement.
Okay, perfect. Because I thought it'd be a pretty low number for anything more.
Yeah.
And then on the active transportation plan for that 24,900 and the carry forward, can you just remind me what that is for?
Absolutely. So that is we have engaged with MPE, and they're working on creating pathway plan is essentially what it is
Oh.
for the town. So that's going to identify our current pathways, potential areas we can add to our existing pathway system. It'll have some criteria for what we want to see on along our pathways and the construction standards for our pathways.
Perfect. And then once well, obviously any of the bigger projects, but the outdoor Amory rink, once we get our quotes and are ready to go and whatnot, I'm assuming we'd be applying for another grant for that.
Yes, yeah, we would
Okay.
definitely look for some stuff on those.
Perfect. Thank you. Lindsay, you can just jump in at any time. Just let me know when you're ready.
It is under department. And then,
Development planning,
yeah. I don't know
request for
what they
proposals
can
and
do there.
tenders.
I'm wondering if there's a better spot for that
Yeah,
somewhere
I
on the
don't know why
website.
it's under there.
Just can we make it just easier for people to find somehow? I guess, right?
Even just a link on the main page,
Yeah, or a button.
just a. Or up to
Our
you.
whole website needs to be read.
Okay, perfect. If there's no other questions, for Director Russ on Community and Practice Services, Director Nash, if you could go into your Director of Operations report.
Absolutely. So as he makes his way to the table at the front, I would like to introduce our newest employee with the town of Crossfield, Steve Altina. He is filling the role as our Senior Planner and Director of Infrastructure and Community Growth. Steve joins us from Rocky View County. His first day is today. He is an engineer and a planner and comes with a wealth of experience both in the municipal and private industry. So just would like to introduce Steve if he's had anything else to add or if anybody has questions for him.
Welcome, Steve.
Mayor, thank you very much. Yeah, nothing much to add. I'm really happy to be with Crossfield and looking forward to the opportunity to make an impact with the town and looking forward to working with all of you.
Great.
Alrighty. So moving along, on the report, so Operations Foreman Murray Pollock. He met with representatives from Alberta Transportation as well as Volker Stebbin to review concerns that we have with drainage at the Harrison Street and Libman Avenue intersection, as well as condition of the roadway. So Alberta Transportation agreed that there is a problem there and they will be taking steps to address the issues. In the very near term, they will be patching the asphalt to bring it back to a better grade. And in 2025, they're making plans to redo the drainage properly there. So fixing the culvert as well as the problem on the west side of the culvert, which is ending up backing up the water there. As well as redoing that portion of road so that everything does drain appropriately. They will also be involving Alberta Environment to ensure that the wetland is not negatively impacted. All of our equipment has been prepped for the winter months. There's still a couple minor issues that they're working on getting in place, but should the weather turn, they are ready to provide snow clearing at any point now. We have met with our engineers to review several other drainage concerns around town. These include the alleyways behind the library as well as behind Shorty's Diner. And then we've got at the top of McCaskill Drive, which is adjacent to Veterans Park. The intersection of Lott Avenue and Highway 2A. We have a spot in Amory Park where the pathway goes between the houses toward Vista Drive. And then we've also got a spot in Ross Place where the drainage right of way crosses the road from north to south. So they did come out. They were out on August 19th and 20th with surveyors to gather information. And now the engineers are looking at the data to provide some solutions to us to move forward with. For capital projects, in operations, they're all complete. The one I'd like to touch on here is Westgate Estates fence. This project, I guess, was was planned for the entire portion from, I guess, where Westgate backs onto Sunset Ridge all the way to the east, where it meets the green space between Westgate and Murdoch Street. I guess the pricing came back on that one a little bit higher than expected, but so they did get completed the section between Sunset Ridge to Stevens Street, which was the worst, and really it needed to be replaced. The other stuff's not too bad, but it should get replaced here coming forward for 2025. So operations will be bringing that back to council as well to try and get that one completed. In water, wastewater, we are pleased. We had Rick Schmidt join our team as a level 2 water wastewater operator. He started on August 12th. He joins us from the town of Rimbey, where he did hold the position of Director of Public Works. He's got 22 years of experience and expertise in the area, and he will be a great asset for the town moving forward.
Mhm.
The capital projects in water wastewater, the PLC replacement. So original information was provided to us that indicated that we would need to look at replacing this PLC because it was obsolete, and we wouldn't be able to get parts anymore if something broke down. So that's why this project came forward. However, some further investigation or some further information came to Joe that says we actually can get some parts for this PLC. It is currently running, and we are able to get some parts if it does break down. So at this time, he doesn't feel that we need to move forward with its replacement, but definitely should form part of a longer term capital budget plan. So, and then the last one on that list there, wastewater main upgrades. We are working with engineers at All North right now and are awaiting some recommendations on next steps for that. So
That's that one, 300
300,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
mil line.
Oh, the 300 mil.
Is
Yeah.
that's what we're working on?
I think that's going to probably become the priority in that.
Right,
in that.
because it's half the size as what we need it to be currently, and that's our only
Correct.
line. Yeah.
Correct.
Okay, questions for Director Nash?
Yeah, through the chair. Russ, I noticed when you were listing off all the different streets with the drainage issues,
Mhm.
I noticed that Nanton was not on the list, and I know that's a consistent problem, whether it's on Nanton or their back alley to the south. They have a lot of drainage issues there as well.
Through the chair, actually, these will also incorporate a fix for that. So they did have, in talking to Murray, they did have something that they were going to move or looking at moving forward with. And I believe you're talking in front of
It's like with
one of the businesses there. I
yeah,
think.
there's 3 business strips there. And
Yeah,
then
so
it's kind of cool. It comes like this and then doesn't go
right.
anywhere.
So when we started looking at these projects or the possible solutions for this, we'd also be looking to move water out of those alleys and toward the same area.
Mhm.
So we want to be able to incorporate those fixes with the fixes in the alley so they don't fight against each other. So that will also be incorporated into
Okay.
that.
I just noticed it wasn't on the list. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, just one from me, Russ, on the projects that have been completed.
Mhm.
Are we on or under budget on those?
So both.
Excellent.
Through the chair, I guess I can just give you some quick highlights on those. So the turbidity monitor, that was on budget. Wastewater main replacement evaluation update was on budget. The multi-purpose vehicle was actually a little bit over budget. However, the aerial man lift was well under budget, so it offset the overage there. Sidewalk replacement that is currently being done, it will be on budget. Asphalt overlay, I believe it was on budget. I'm sorry, that one I can't remember off the top of my head. In Parks area, the park sign replacement program, that will be pretty close to budget, but I think it'll actually be a little bit under budget for 2024. Just not quite enough room to incorporate another sign. Pathway replacement was under budget. And those are the ones that have been completed. Or are on their way to being completed.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, if there's no further discussion or questions, can I get a motion? Sorry, we'll have Director Lindsay Nash come up for corporate services, do her report. Thanks for warming the seat, Steve.
Keeping it warm.
Corporate services update. Administration is happy to announce that we have a new customer services and administrative support representative. Laura Lehan joined our team at the end of July. Laura's role includes assisting with front lines and providing administrative support to the senior management team. And we're very excited to have Laura join our team. 10 curb stops for the remaining 10 properties have been located and tested. Those needing repair prior to the shutoffs are being repaired and serviced. And then starting in early September, those properties with working shutoffs will be receiving their 48-hour shutoff notices in accordance with the Town of Crossfield's current water bylaw. And of course, once those other shutoffs are made operational, we will send the remainder letters out to them. The City of Calgary water restrictions continue to generate interest in our bulk water from the town. Several new accounts have been set up, resulting in a slight increase in consumption from this time last year. Under taxes, there are 1,709 tax accounts that have either made full payments or are currently on the TIPS program. 123 accounts remain outstanding, and a follow-up letter will be sent out in October. And Lauren reported on the census. Under the financial update, administration has been doing extensive work towards the 2025 budget development, with the draft budget tentatively scheduled to be brought forward in late October for council's deliberation. Courtney has successfully completed the LAPP audit, and the interim audit prep is underway, with it scheduled to to happen the second week in November. Security, we have secured services for an external entity to support finance until a suitable candidate has been identified. We have finalized the data for the extended producer's responsibility, the ERP program, and that's been sent to them. So we're just waiting to hear back what our actual funding will be provided. And we have processed the insurance claim for the damages to Veterans Park, and we have secured $74,000 in funding, with approximately $30,000 of that being allocated to maintenance for the next 3 years. And for the month of July, there were 10 new building permits, with 4 for the month of August, for a total of 45 new home constructions for 2024. And there are a few new home businesses within the town of Crossfield. That's my update. Not as busy as Russ's.
Oh, thank you. Well, just in different ways, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Questions for Lindsay?
Through the chair, just a quick question about the process, the insurance claim for damages to Veteran Park. That's when the vehicle, that's when the vehicle.
Yeah.
Was there any, did we have to pay out anything to the insurance company, or is this our
That's
insurance
the money that we've received
from
from
their insurance company? Okay.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's all I just was clarifying, just the way it read. I thought process the insurance claim. It almost sounded like our insurance company, but it's
Mike.
okay.
Okay, any other questions? Lindsay, I'm just curious, do we get a lot of home-based businesses? I know that we have a lot in town, but do a lot of them apply for their business license?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. It's part of their condition of their home occupation permit. And if anybody calls and says, I'm looking at doing this, it's like, okay, this is the process. This is what you need to do to start up a business.
okay, great. Thank you. All right, no further questions. Can I get a motion on item 7.3?
Through the chair,
Counselor Gustafson,
I'll move to, that council accept the department director updates.
all in favor? Motion carried. Okay, item 7.4, outstanding items list.
That'd be me again. We'll just kind of go through it. The property tax write-off has been completed and the public auction has been booked and scheduled. The water feasibility study is marked as complete and administration is working on the completion of the stream analysis and exploring additional funding options to support the associated costs. The Star Ambulance funding request will be brought forward to the fall budget deliberations under community funding. CAO Barney continues to work with PE on the Railway Street decorative lighting and optics lighting on associated costs. A meeting is scheduled in the coming weeks to review the options and costing, and a report will be brought forward to council in October. Administration is asking to have the rodeo grounds agreement moved to Q1 2025 to allow time for administration to prepare and update the leasing of town facilities and land policy, and then ensuring that the rodeo ground agreement and other agreements meet the requirements of the new policy. And administration has completed the listing of town-owned lands and is awaiting the results of the NRED grant to get a better understanding of all vacant lands, properties within the town. And administration is asking that items 035, 036, 038 be removed from the outstanding items list and that item 007 be moved to Q1-2005 to allow administration time to prepare an update the leasing of town facilities and land policy.
Okay, well, that was a lot. So on the town-owned lands one, when is the timing for that one?
The vacant lands,
Yes,
we were just waiting to hear back from the NRED grant. When we get those results, I know Norma was working with them on looking at all vacant lands within the town. I don't remember when that was coming. Oh, yeah. Yes, she will be. Yep. Yeah. That council meeting. Yeah.
okay, so
once
Norma,
that comes in, then
Norma comes with that one, and then it does say Q4 in here for town-owned lands, for further discussion and whatnot, so.
Yep.
Okay,
our part is completed. Meryl and I went through and we have a full listing of all the lands, every little green space that the town owns and stuff like that. So we do have the listing, so.
okay, it's just the other stuff that goes with it
Yeah.
through the NRED grant. All right. Okay, further questions on this?
Through the
Councilor
chair,
Gustafson.
just, I guess, so there's more, so you have the list, which we know about. Just maybe kind of explain what the other part is that other company is doing.
The NRED, the Economic Development NRED
The
grant?
internet grant.
Yeah,
Russ might even, I'm sorry.
that's okay.
Through the chair, I would have to confirm all this, but I think they're looking at what other strategies may be used, or we may be able to use with some of those vacant lands. So ideas, opportunities for the vacant lands. I know that's one, and this one, and you have to excuse me, the COO Barney's been working more so on this one with Norma, so I don't have all the details on this one, but
Maybe we'll wait till
right.
the
So
next meeting and then she can explain.
it's more strategies and utilization strategies. I think it will also maybe potentially, and this would be also part of the strategies, but using like in the wayfinding, the placemaking things, some of those lands that are downtown, how we may be able to incorporate some of that into there as well.
Yeah.
So through the chair, I'm not sure why we did this in the first place is, we have leasing of town facilities and land policy, and then we've segregated rodeo grounds into its own identity. Why do we just not roll it into one? Like, why is it segregated? Like, what's the rationale behind having two separate ones? If we're doing leasing of town facilities and land policy, that falls under the rodeo as well, the rodeo grounds. It's the same thing.
Through the chair, it's actually, it'll be two separate things. So the leasing of town facilities and land policy is a policy that's going to state how we administer leasing agreements with the town. So how we lease town-owned land, town-owned facilities,
Mhm.
those sorts of things. So we want that in place to ensure that any future lease agreement follows that policy.
So that is coming before the rodeo? Or they're
Correct.
coming in conjunction?
We want to have the policy in place before we complete the agreement.
Any agreements going forward,
Correct.
whether it's rodeo or the
Golden
curling rink
Key,
or
curling rink.
anything?
Yeah.
Okay,
Correct. So we want to have that framework in place so that we can ensure that all agreements moving forward have the same.
but what it seems like is they're landing at the same time.
Correct. And
Because we don't have an opportunity of actually looking at the agreement and modifying it, but by the time, before any other agreements are put into place. That's what I'm seeing is they're landing on the same date or landing at the same time.
Correct. And that's the primary reason why we'd like to move that rodeo grounds lease agreement to Q1 of 2025 so that we can have the policy in place before that.
So why did we not do that in the first place?
I'm not sure.
That's, I guess, any question like was that a valid question?
Yeah, I think the plan was and I think that council did ask for the policy, the overarching leasing of town facilities and land policy to be done first. And then subsequently would be any of the leases afterwards, including the rodeo lease.
But that's not how it was done.
Through the chair, I believe it was intended to be that way, and they were both brought to the same council meeting.
Mhm.
Okay,
And then there was because the policy, there was changes to the policy, the rodeo board agreement was not moved forward past that. So that's why the date still says February 21st, because they were both brought to that council meeting.
Yeah.
yes, the meeting date, but
Yeah.
I'm seeing Q4 as the due date.
And that, yeah, like
And
But it was Q2 actually, it started Q2 and then.
and
now
it's just
been bumped
it's
and
been
bumped.
it's been bumped, yeah.
Yeah.
And I think too, potentially at the time, it was thought, well, if we're able to get the leasing policy in place, we've got a quarter's 3 months, so we would still have time within that quarter potentially. But looking at our timelines now with with budget and all that stuff, this affords us more opportunity. One, to ensure that the leasing of the land policy is in place and it's solid. It's what we all want to see. And then we've got time to now move forward on other agreements.
So just so I'm correct, is we're gonna still have the rodeo, or sorry, the policy. Or we're talking at the end of Q4?
Within Q4,
Within Q4.
correct. So
That's-
I don't,
That's within
within that
3
3
months is
months.
that's a big time period, but
it is.
it just, and then how much time do we have to look at that policy and make changes if needed? Does Kinza, has she said anything of where she needs to be with that? Because it is assigned to the leadership team.
We haven't had a discussion around that specific topic, but I think if council, we're not opposed to bringing it to council, and if council's got it, wants to see some things changed and updated, we can do that at any time. We don't as the leadership team don't really have any. We have to have it today or not. We will work with council as far as seeing what council would want to see in that policy.
Well, I'm curious if that can go back to a November meeting,
Yeah, we can.
if that's
we can
possible.
work on that.
And then we can set a timeline within that Q4.
I think it's fair because, we have been waiting a long time. I understand that there's been a lot of adjustments have to be made, but it's been a long time coming. We've asked a long time for this.
Yeah, so either November meeting, but it's just one in November, if that's fair. And then my understanding is you want to push the rodeo or any other
Mhm.
lease to the new year.
Yep.
Okay.
And that does give time for us to work with council on
Mhm.
getting it right.
Yeah, that's-
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we need to get it right the first time, for sure.
All right. Any other questions?
Why do you look at me there?
Because you're a curious guy.
Yeah.
I'm just having a look here. Good. It'd be nice to tidy up the lighting one for sure. Right? That's been a while,
No.
Mhm.
Just yesterday.
right? Anyway, okay. There's no other questions, so,
3 years.
can somebody make a motion?
Through the chair,
Counselor Lambert, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that items 035, 036, and 038 be removed from the outstanding items. And that item 007 be moved to Q1 of 2025 to allow administration time to prepare and update leasing of town facilities and land policy.
Okay, all in favor?
I
Motion carried. Thank you. All right, number 8, correspondence. If everyone has had a chance to review the letters that have come forth. Any discussion or questions? Nothing? Discussion?
What do you?
The upcoming events,
With that?
for the upcoming events.
No, for the correspondent.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
Yeah.
correspondence.
There's a couple letters there.
Quite a bit in the correspondence.
Yeah, we had a few this time around, didn't we? Okay. If there's no questions, can I get a motion?
Through the chair, I'll make the motion that the items under correspondence be accepted for information.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Okay, upcoming events can be found on Crossfield website. And at this time, I'll get get somebody to make a motion to go into camera.
Through the chair,
Go ahead.
I'll move that we go into camera at 22.
Okay. Okay. Council is back from out of camera. Can I get a motion, please?
I need my glasses. Through the chair, I would like to make the motion to request and waive consumption charges disclosure harmful to personal privacy FOIP section 1701.
Okay. All in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and opposed? 3. So motion's passed. And that is it for the meeting. So
Through the chair,
go ahead.
I motion that council adjourn the meeting at 8:34.
8:34. Thank you.
Good question.
You didn't bring that up. I'm just curious.